What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Crossover Commerce. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is my corner of the internet where I bring the best and brightest in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Before we get started, this is episode 199, so if you're tuning in for 200, gonna have to wait till next week. But 199 is presented by, of course, as always, PingPong Payments. PingPong Payments is helping international sellers and domestic sellers of all kinds save more of their hard-earned money. When it comes to paying out suppliers, manufacturers, or VAs in localized currency, or just simplistic nature, you can actually save a lot of money, time, and headache when paying with PingPong Payments. So go ahead and sign up for free today. Just go to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast to sign up for free and catch all of our 198 episodes that we roll out. Yes, this is 199, so that will be on there as well. We put all of our audio podcasts on there. We transcribe them. So if you happen to miss an episode of one of our high-level speakers, you're going to have to go there to catch all the past episodes. But that being said, this is 199. We're going to be talking with a friend of the show, Mina Elias of Trivium Group. But just want to give a quick preference. Again, we're chugging along to 200. So just want to give a quick kind of teaser before 200. It's going to happen on Monday, December 20th from noon to 2. And I have a couple of people have said yes, luckily, as friends of the show, to hop on as a roundtable discussion. So I won't leak those yet as of now, but people are still saying yes to it, which I'm really excited for them to come back, kind of give us a recap of what 2021 looks like going into 2022, thoughts and ideas. So that's going to be a 2-hour episode. Hopefully you can join us on a holiday edition. So we'll probably get a little festive around here. That being said, this episode, he's a man of many talents, I would say. Like as a former guest of the show, he's constantly speaking at different events. He's speaking and growing in different areas. He's known for his PPC knowledge, but he's also known for growing brands and also just helping small and medium-sized businesses grow and call them what it is. But I'm just really excited to partner him with a couple of different projects he's done. I drink a lot of his products and use a lot of his products, but just want to bring back onto Crossover Commerce to kind of round out this amazing season 3. Mina Elias of Trivium Group. Mina, thanks for coming back bright and early on Crossover. Where you are, you're on the West Coast, so I appreciate you waking up early with us.
All good, man. All good. Yeah, this is perfect. So I've been up since 5:15, and I like from 5:15 to like 6:30. I'm like chilling, relaxing. Then I go to CrossFit. So since this is at 7, I'm just gonna go to the 8:45 class, which is still perfect because this is like a very nice way to start the day is to do a podcast. So
that's right. Get your
excited.
mind moving, and then you'll get your body moving.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, so PingPong Payments, actually, I want to give you guys a quick shout out on your podcast because I don't know why like you guys don't talk about this more, but so I have my parents are in Egypt, right? And I also just hired an employee in Egypt, and I pay my parents like every month and I send them money and like I've retired them. And it was like tough. I was paying like $40 a month for international transfers, or I'd have to go to Western Union and it would like be a little bit less. But obviously when I want to send like more, like a few thousand, it just would get too expensive. And so I hit up you and then I hit and Kenny, and I'm like, man, I thought you guys like had some sort of solution, and it's insane, but you can send money internationally for free. Like literally all I did was I signed up my business. I put my business information. I put my parents' bank account information, put my employees' bank account information, and then it just sent money for free. I was like
USD to USD, yeah.
USD to USD, no transfer. Which obviously most countries now have USD bank accounts, and I'm like, dude, what's the catch? But then Kenny explained how, even though you don't charge any money, it still helps the valuation of the business. And I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I said, dude, this is, you guys should be telling everyone, because this is like, it's a no-brainer. I literally don't know any other way to send money internationally. So I'm like, thank God now I'm saving like all like
Yeah.
transfer fees. Even it's $40, but it's still like, it's like $40 that could have spent it like, eating nice food or something.
Well, I told you, yeah, it's a component. It's so simple. Like this is what I tell people when it comes when they ask me, what do you want to talk about? And I go, well, international payments, and like, oh, that. I go, well, it's actually very simple. Like the problems that people are experiencing, it's a very simplistic nature of which how to overcome those things. Again, business to business. This isn't like paying you for pizza or like going out to dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As a business transaction for people, can't get much easier than this. And so I was, it's kind of simple, but we appreciate the kind words. So I'm glad that worked out. So everything
Yeah.
worked out and
It's
perfect.
good,
That's
man, because I've
I
been
was gonna
sending my
say.
parents. I've been sending my parents like more and more money, and I'm like, dude, I gotta find like some sort of scalable solution for this, because it's just, And then I hired an employee over there, and I'm like, dude, I like it can't be like, oh, like let me just, because sometimes I would like pay someone here, and then they would like, their parents in Egypt would pay my parents, so it was like very like sketchy ways of sending money.
Moving money around the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what you
like,
got to
no,
do.
I need a scalable solution that I can do from my computer, not drive to Western Union, because that's also a pain, and like withdraw cash, and it's crazy, dude.
Well, speaking of saving time, I mean that's one of the things that we save. But you are since we've had you on the show before, give me a quick recap. I know the last time you were on specifically, you were on my 100 show. So
Wow.
just briefly, but it's like a muscle. So we're talking about working out. This is the phrase I've been using. You have to be. It's like working on a muscle. You just have to continuously do it, like over and over, continuously. So
Yeah.
you get stronger, and you see results later on. I just don't look at the number every so often. But
Yeah.
what have you been up to since you've been on? Gosh, that would have been mid 2021. Maybe right before Prosper or right after Prosper. What have you been up to?
Wow. Okay, a lot has happened since around Prosper. So after Prosper, I got COVID, and then pneumonia, and I had lung surgery. So that kind of set me back.
That's pretty life changing.
Yeah, made me think a lot about a lot of things. Made me think about like, that when I was like really like down, and I couldn't breathe and all of this stuff, it just like I realized like nothing matters. Like your house doesn't matter, your car doesn't matter, nothing matters, only your health matters. So I've really taken it up like 3 or 4 notches on my health. Like I have a nutrition coach now. My supplements are on point. I'm not overtraining. I'm being very, very conscious of everything that I do health wise, because it's like it was, when I lost my health, when I was on the couch, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. I could barely eat. It was like it wasn't. Nothing mattered. Like really, nothing mattered. The house, the car, none of it mattered. So that's one thing, and then also realizing like how fragile we are, and that our time is limited, and to make sure that like every day I'm maximizing, and I'm doing only what I love, and if I'm not, it's okay, but at least be aware of it, be conscious of it, and work towards like work doing only stuff that I love, because like what's the point of like working insanely hard and all this stuff, and it could have been all over like in July. It was serious. It wasn't crazy. Like, thank God we're in America, and the doctors are incredible here. But maybe if it was something different, it could have been all over. And then what's the point of like killing yourself and not enjoying life? And then it could be over like this, and it's so a couple of like realizations there. My agency took off pretty well. So Trivium has been doing very well, and it's really, I love it, because it's really helped me become even better at doing what I do. Because when I'm managing my brands, it's okay. Like if you make a few mistakes, when I'm managing other people's brands, it's like you're competing against everyone else who wants to manage the PPC for their brands. And so how can I be the best, and how can I continue to drive better and better results? So that's helped me out a lot. Cogneros is on track to launch on Amazon. We're raising $200,000 for it. So once we get that done, we've opted to do a much more aggressive launch versus like the. So I've launched, obviously, my first launch was $500, and then I've launched products for 5,000 and 10,000 and 20,000. And I think like, yeah, money will make things better. Like, sure, I could do it with like 30 or $40,000, and you will get reviews and it'll have some nice velocity. But if we really want to make like a splash and hit like bestseller and all of that kind of stuff and really grow it to, multiple eight figures, I feel like having that capital right off the bat is going to help a lot. And why not? Like, I've done the smaller launches before, so it's time to try something new. So that's kind of like a quick update.
A quick update. You say that, and like that's just one of those things. I mean, first of all, we're I'm super happy to know that you're like doing well, and I think a lot of people weren't aware when you got hit. I mean, obviously hit with that, with COVID, super serious in that nature. But did that it sounds like it changed like your, not just your life perspective, but your business perspective too. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. I'm now like, yeah, I'm not. I'm no longer doing anything. I'm saying no a lot more, and I'm no longer doing anything that like doesn't make me happy. And so every day, like I'll do like a quick mental review, and I say like, could I have done something today that I wanted to more than what I was doing? And if the answer is yes, then it's like I'm not on the right track, and I have to constantly course correct. So that's kind of that's what it showed me, is like life is short. Like your health could go at any time. This was, it could have been avoided a little bit better if like I wasn't a prosper and we weren't staying out late and all this stuff. And I went to the doctors earlier, things like that. So I kind of did like what everyone else would do. If you get sick, you just stay home. I did the same thing, except when the fluid was building up around the lung, it's not something that your body's going to resolve on its own. So I
No,
needed a lot of antibiotics and a lot of that kind of stuff. And eventually I needed the surgery. So, um,
you had what's called pleurisy. Yeah, I
yeah,
know it very well. Yeah, my
yeah,
wife had double lung transplant too, and I mentioned this to people too. Of we had that when in the first 6 months that we were married, she had a double lung transplant. So that again, life changing. I'm right there with you. Not to one up you or anything like that.
yeah,
I see the superhero human that is my wife on a day to day basis. So like
yeah.
other person, you can look into respectively. Which again, I'm just so glad people are able to get saved. I mean, the technology of medical,
Dude, it's
that's a whole a whole
Thank,
nother couple
yeah, I'm
series of
very,
podcasts.
very grateful that the technology has gotten us to this point, because it's really wonderful, like what they can do, and how like I have three like maybe 2 inch scars. That's it, and it's like
The
this, and it's
incisions
probably,
are super small. Yeah,
yeah, like tiny, but they went in with like equipment. They had to like scrape stuff out. So I'm like, wow. I was when I was in the ER when I got admitted, and the day before the surgery, the guy was saying, when I was in med school, we'd have to cut you open from your chest to your
yep.
stomach and break a couple of ribs to get in there. And I said, well, I'm glad I wasn't born like 30 years ago.
Well,
So
that's the thing, yeah, and how they do transplants too. They also go. I mean, again, we're going off on a rail here, but like they squeeze it in like a organ, right? And it's just like it's all filled with air. They just push it in and it inflates. But yeah, it's super small incision, and they don't have to break open anything anymore. And it's a really cool process too. So
amazing.
medical, and man, if I wasn't in, if I had the focus to be in the medical field, and I wasn't just like not squeamish, but like that stuff is super serious. It's
It
just
is.
yeah, people are talking about just like the massive exodus of medical field, which I hope is not the case. Hopefully, there's a new wave of like I want to overachieve and overcome this. But is that make your brand? I guess going back to the business aspect of like what you do in the supplement space, the health and wellness space, kind of being in that aspect, does that make it even more important to have like a mission or be
Yeah.
more prominent and more focused and out front with your brands?
Yeah. So I've always been like the important thing for me was to have a really good formula and really good products and not cut corners. And that's only taken it, like a step further, where it's like, okay, I really have to be cognizant of what I do, and I cannot in any way, like even if people say like I'm okay with X, Y, and Z in my supplements, it's like, no, like because I know that this is gonna, even if it hurts you 0.01%, in the long term, everything adds up. Everything we do, that every time you eat out and every time you have a snack, and I'm not saying don't do it, we're human, we want to, but it's like, if I can kind of not contribute to any of that, I will. And so it's becoming much more important. And now whenever I look at a supplement that I consume, because I obviously consume a lot of other people's supplements too, and I'm very, very aware of where it came, how trustworthy is the source. And it's just like I'm a lot more paranoid about taking supplements now, and the formulas that I make. So, and if anyone's out there listening, FYI, the FDA does not regulate supplements. I could literally go and take some flour, rice flour, put it in pills, and sell it to you as whatever you want, vitamin C, elderberry, whatever you want, and no one will ever catch me until I'm making millions, and then someone decides to kind of like do some tests on my stuff, takes it. As long as I don't sell in like Whole Foods or whatever, even if I sell in Whole Foods, I could probably get away with forging documents and what, unless they do like random batch third-party testing, which is pretty expensive, because testing one product is like at least $1,000. So, how many products do they carry on the shelf? How often are they going to spend like $1 million a month testing randoms of products? I don't think so. So it's like, be very careful. Be very, very careful of where your products come from, and just do as much research as possible.
Well, in that case, like, obviously, it's a scary notion to think that it's not well. Again, the regulation thing is not in our control. What is in the control of the consumer or the buyer, of someone of supplements? What do they need to look for in that regards? Like on Amazon or not on Amazon, what are the verifications or the things that they need to look for to make sure like what I'm taking is actually what I'm expecting?
Yeah. So the first thing is like, read the label, right? A lot of people, like, the first thing is, if you have acesulfame potassium. Acesulfame potassium is the reason things taste incredibly well. And I've actually seen it where my manufacturer said, here's your product with nothing, right? Just stevia or whatever, and it takes double the amount of fillers to make it taste good. So if you have like 2 grams of active ingredients, you need 2 grams of fillers, or 2 grams of sugar. Then he's like, here's the product with acesulfame potassium, and it's literally like this. He puts a little bit of acesulfame potassium, and it's like, it tastes like heaven. And it's like, the what do they call it? Not GMO, but MSG.
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
MSG.
MSG
Yeah,
for like
for like
Chinese food or something like
ramen,
that.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the same thing. So that's number one. Read the labels. It should be, you can be okay with your stuff not tasting that great. Like, you maybe add some, like a little bit of peanut butter, or whatever, or something like, or if you're gonna do a drink that's like a fruity drink, add some fresh orange juice, or add some limes or something, and uh, yeah, like, opt in for like the natural source of sweetener and flavoring, versus like, I'm drinking like rainbow candy, a pre-workout or whatever. But if you look at most of the good tasting proteins, you look at most of the good tasting pre-workouts, BCAAs, they all have acesulfame potassium, which is a carcinogen. You can go and look at the research. So that's number one. Look out for that chemical, and any other, like, suspicious sounding chemicals. Sucralose is it's not the
Sure.
best, not the worst, but it's kind of like an in between. um you know so that's number one. Number two is, I would say, like, look for, don't look at just like, hey, there's like an article about this product out there or whatever. See, like, where they are they in like multiple kind of organic places that require you to show some testing. Do they have any third party testing out there? There's a couple of websites that do randomly do third party testing for products, and they're pretty good, because what they do is, you pay $4,000 and they will randomly buy your products from different places, and then test them and say, we randomly bought his product from here, we tested it, this was it matched. And the $4,000 portion of it goes to the lab, and the rest is profit for them building like that entire like website and authority. So um things like that, like, see how many hoops the companies had to jump through to get their products into places. where they have to show testing and things like that. So I think internationally sometimes is good. Like if you look, if they're based in the US and they're shipping to Canada and stuff like that, there's also certain things that they need. I don't know how often Canada expects you to do it, but also if they have like any public testing out there. So even I don't have that kind of stuff. It is expensive, but I trust my own stuff, and so that's why. And I would love to do it. It's just very expensive. So if there's people out there that are showing how they're doing third party testing, you can call the labs and say, hey, did you guys actually test the stuff? Because I've also caught people putting out third party testing that's forged, and then the lab is like random, and you don't know where it is or whatever. So just be careful of things like that. So it's yeah. The main point being, get 90% or 99% of everything you need from food, and then go get 1% from supplements, because supplements only supposed to supplement your diet. So it's
Right.
not going to make you lose fat, it's not going to make you build muscle. But for me, like, I take some protein because I'm trying to hit like a certain protein goal a day, and I'm eating a lot of food, but it's just like, okay, sometimes you just need a little bit of extra boost. I'm taking certain like like liver and intestine like supplements. I'm taking like some probiotics, but I'm trying to eat kimchi all the time for probiotics. I'm trying to eat like kefir or whatever it's called for probiotics, or drink it. So it's things like that. I'm trying to get most of it from my diet, from my regular diet, and then some of it from the supplements. And as a
Absolutely.
person selling supplements, I'm telling you this.
No, and that's the honest truth is like it's supposed to supplement, and again, it's the stuff like vitamin C. Like you don't always drink like orange juice or like oranges on the day to day basis. So like that thing is
Yeah.
supposed to help you again, immune boosting and things like that. I think there's just so many cool, gosh, there's like I see supplements with like the oh man, there was one that was recent. It's like it's all the vitamins and supplement or like the nutrition in like a drink. I think it's like it's a powder, or gosh darn it, I forget what the brand is, but I started noticing it more and more that people are, just like drinks and things like that too. But in the supplement space, I know there's constantly lots of people who are understanding of why is it so competitive? Like, and I think I've asked you this question before. Why is supplements so competitive? Is it just the cost of like the margins are so high so you can compete like that? Or why get in the space and why is it so darn
No.
competitive?
Okay, a few things. Number one, it's not hard. Like I just told you, you can literally do whatever and like sell it. It depends how ethical you are, right? So it's not hard to kind of get in there. It's a need. So like there's a few things, right, that are like that humans will always be incentivized by, and will always buy, right? It's like health, it's like financial, it's like love. I think there's like a few of them, right? And so that's why supplements will always be around, because like people want the shortcut for their health. They don't want to put in the hard work of like losing fat by training and dieting. They just want to take a fat burner. They don't want to, they don't want to do all this work and figuring out what foods are good for their diet and what are not. So they'll take like something to prevent bloating. And so it's a need. Like people, it's a need for people. They're always going to want it. So that's number one. Number two, you can get away with doing it for cheap, and it's a massive market cap. And it really, it depends on how well you can market it. Number four, it is easy to make, because you have a lot of United States manufacturers where you can go and say, what, give me some of your stock formulas, and they're like, we have this and this and this and this, and you can take their stock formulas and then market it as, better for you, this, that. There's a lot of shady stuff that happens, but it is like, look at any niche where people need that stuff a lot. It's very competitive, and there's a lot of shady like stuff going on there. So that's kind of why a lot of people get into it. You can make a lot of money, and you can be shady, but then also on the flip side, right? You can impact the world significantly. So if you come up with like really good products that help people, like I think Cogneural, it can like really impact the world, because yeah, hard work is good for athletes, but if we're talking about like the general people, if you're drinking a cup of coffee a day, okay, it's okay. But like, if you feel like you're dependent on coffee, or you take 2 or 3 cups a day, this is like definitely going to help. It's going to help with your stress, your adrenal fatigue, a lot of these things. So this is something that can really, like, is going to give you energy. It's going to be better for you. It has nothing bad in it for you. So it has it has none of the negative, all of the positive of coffee. It's just something that can make the world like a better place. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, I wish I could go somewhere. Like I love on a weekend, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, to go somewhere, get a nice like iced coffee, like it tastes good, and take a walk in the sun. And I'm like, why can't I do that with something that's supercharged? So like, even if it's just coffee, but with this and this and this and this that helps, you know. And there's one place that does this in LA, in Venice. It's called Moon Juice. Moon Juice is a massive like supplement brand, and they opened up their own cafe. And you go there and you can get smoothies and shakes and juices, whatever, that are all supercharged with the supplements. And I'm like, there should be way more places just like this. There should be way more places that open up and they're serving better for you, whatever you usually get. So if you're going to get a tea, it's a better for you tea. If you're going to get a whatever, it's a better for you. I know we're going off topic here, but this is kind of my thoughts.
No, we're good. No, it's no, the space. This is how I see it always with people who own brands, which you own multiple, which again, Cogneural, it's buying my coffee and I look at it every day and I go, so it's one of those days. It's like, this is what I really want. And I use Cogneural. And so as a person who uses it, my wife loves it. And she can only drink decaf coffee because the caffeine, it can only be so much for her, and it helps in certain health aspects. Like it's just too much for people, like you said. But it was so cool. And she's like, no, this is a great product. Like, I mean, it's sustainable. I love the packaging that you did, by the way. I don't know if it's who did it, but it was like in a case, and it was like with a gold, it had some gold like accents with
Spoon.
it. Yeah, spoon.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
really cool. I thought it was really cool. I don't think it was actually gold. If it was, then that better be
No,
going to like a
my
king or
girlfriend did that.
something. That was
So
really cool.
basically, we had this conversation, and I see so many people sending products to influencers, and I'm like, dude, I've tried sending products to influencers and I get zero feedback, or like minimal feedback. I don't get like that whole influencer thing. So why are other people doing it so well? And she's an influencer, so Four Sigmatic and Renewed and like a bunch of like these big brands send her packages every week. She's not massive or anything, but she has like 20,000 followers on Instagram. So she said, well, it's because your packaging sucks. You're literally sending an Amazon box with a product. And I said, okay, like, what should I do? She's like, this is her passion. So she's like, don't worry, I got you. And so she ordered boxes. She ordered these golden, like tiny spoons. She ordered these golden bars that are actually like fridge magnets. And
That's cool.
she made this like beautiful looking box. So she has a machine that can kind of cut into cardboard. So she gets the cardboard, she traces out the products, she cuts it in, and then
Like a
everything,
cricket or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and everything gets placed perfectly in there. And then she puts a like a nice little piece of like cloth on it, so it looks very like expensive. And she's like, this is how you prevent. And we have a card that says liquid gold, and in the back it's like a handwritten note. So I'm like, yeah, like if I mean, this, it wasn't expensive to do, right? I paid her money, and and then but obviously I saved myself a lot of time, like, and she's way cheaper than I am in terms of like product. And so I
Balling
paid,
on a budget.
exactly. And then I spent a little bit of money on these packages, but when I gave them to someone, it was like a wow experience. It was a really, a massive unboxing, and everyone wanted to kind of take a video and a picture and share it and all this kind of stuff. And when you post about it on TikTok or whatever, it can go viral because it looks like super cool. And so people are like, even if people are like, oh, they don't have any of these, and we can put it on the website. We can say, here's the gold box on the website, but it's sold out, for example. So people are like, oh damn, it's sold out. But I get these website visits. If I'm able to pixel them, I'm pixeling them. If they watch my ad, so there's something called whitelisting, where I can essentially get an influencer, who, has a nice face or whatever, and then have them create like an unboxing experience, and then I can use their account and run ads through their account. So when they show up on your feed, it shows like Mina Elias, and it's like, guys, like, check this out. Cognor just sent me this box, and so and then anyone who watches that video, number one, it doesn't look invasive because it's not from a brand, it's from a person. It is sponsored still. Number two, they're watching that video, and I'm like, okay, these people were interested, and I can start retargeting them with ads, like, because they watched that video. I can send another video, maybe a video about the mission of the business, and like the founder and something like that, and it's like, coffee socks and whatever, and then I can hit them with another ad. And that's what my media buyer does. Like, he starts with prospecting, and we try and like have and I'll tell you this, like, if you put a product in their face, the CPMs are super high, and it's the click-through rate is not as good. But when you put something very native, like right there, like, it's like, oh, Mina's unboxing something, even if you don't know me, you're like, oh, this guy is unboxing, it seems like a cool guy. You watch it. So we're able to get the CPMs way low, the cost per click way low, and then in the middle of the funnel, which is the retargeting through video views, and we're warming them up more to our brand, and then in the bottom of the funnel, where we're sending them to convert, our conversion rates are looking better, our costs are looking better. So when we look at a blended ROAS for the entire funnel, it makes sense. Like, we're able, and this is without lifetime value. So even if I can make a little bit of profit on the front end, then with the lifetime value, the email marketing, and SMS, and all of this stuff, and subscription, I can be very profitable. So that's kind of why I went with the whole box experience, is because if I can use that for ads, and if I can get people talking about the product, that's more than enough for me.
Well, it worked for me. So, but hey, I think, like, even if he did that, and you said it was limited edition or something like that, and people even upcharge themselves, right? Like, gosh, you can pay an extra $25 or something like that, or call it a gift wrapping, whatever, and you're like only 50 available for the holiday season. Like, it's still something that you can add on anytime
Yeah.
if you truly choose. At scale, again, I know that's time, money, and effort that your girlfriend or her business or whomever is doing that would have to put into it. That's super cool for the influencer side of things. I had this thought yesterday, and you're the guy who is constantly talking about PPC. And I have this notion. There is a report that says, like, for fees on Amazon, right? Is like 34% of sellers are taking, or they're sending fees to Amazon, and that's broken down into like FBA. That's broken down into PPC, or a couple different things. Like, they
The
compiled it all
referral
together.
fee, the FBA
Referral
fee.
fee, everything like that. Yeah, exactly. 34%, way higher. It's actually gone up, I think, since like 4% just in 2 years or so. So it's continuing to increase higher and higher. People are talking about PPC continuing to escalate. I'm curious. One, do you think that trend continues to go higher just because of the nature of competition? But two, is there going to be a notion that, because Amazon calls it optional, it's an optional service, even though people know you have to have PPC to be viable on Amazon? Is there going to be some outside influencer marketing, or some side outside of marketing, that's going to outweigh the costs of PPC on Amazon? Do you think that will happen, or think that will happen anytime soon, or not at all?
No, I think you have to win. So here's the thing, right? Like, I have like efforts off of Amazon. So okay, if you build strong enough backlinks to your website and Amazon, and there's people looking for you everywhere, there's articles about you, there's videos about you on YouTube, there's podcasts about you, all of this kind of stuff, you can build organically big enough to where, okay, now the cost of PPC is managed, or you don't need to worry about it too much. But we're talking like really big brands and a lot of investment. So I'm talking like, if you go and look at the internet, there's thousands of things pointing to you, whether your website or Amazon. And you'll notice that when you type your name, your brand name on Amazon, you can go to Helium 10 and look at it. There will be some decent search volume. So, which indicates that there's a lot of people looking for you. So that's when I would say the organic side of things, and that's everyone's mission, right? But let me ask you this: what's a brand that you know like this off the top of your head?
A brand. I
Yeah,
mean, just
any brand,
I
any
I, I
big.
use I use this experience all the time. Rolex.
Okay, no, no. I mean,
Oh, brand
like
on Amazon.
regular. Yeah, you're not buying Rolexes every day. Like, think like whatever. Nike,
Yeah.
Adidas,
Yeah, I would say like, or yeah, maybe like
Nestle,
Allbirds or something like that. Yeah, something
Allbirds.
like Nestle or General Mills or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So if you go on outside and you look at them, you type in Nike, you'll see like I get at least like a million things, whether it's podcast or YouTube or whatever, but they're still bidding on Amazon. So it tells you something, right? It tells you like, so why would such a giant still bid on Amazon for PPC? Because it never ends. Number one, number two, I personally believe that Amazon brings you the warmest traffic. So like it would be a mistake not to bid, because like I'm going in there and I'm saying I want like lifting shoes. I don't know if Adidas has the best lifting or Nike has the best lifting shoes, but I just want lifting shoes. So I go in there, I type in lifting shoes, and then I'm gonna buy lifting shoes. Now, if Nike's there organically, that's cool. If Adidas has headline search ads, a couple brand, a video sponsored at the top, and I'm gonna be like, wow, like the Adidas. Even though it doesn't make sense why Nike could be the better one, but I saw Adidas 10 times.
They're
So
circling the drain. Yeah,
so I'm
exactly.
gonna click on it, and then once I clicked on it, now they're running DSP and they're retargeting me. So they're retargeting me on. Now I'm gonna go read an article somewhere online. Wow, I see the Adidas shoe that I was looking at. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go on YouTube. Wow, I see this Adidas thing that I was looking at. So that's that's like the reason that they're doing paid is number one. When someone on Amazon has high buyer intent and they're looking for something, like you want to be right there and say, hey, we have the best thing for you. So I don't think PPC is ever going to go away. Like I think, but if you're like maybe on the smaller side and you're saying, well, I want to get to a point where I don't have to run PPC, or I can run PPC, just a little bit of PPC, just enough. So you have to at least spend a year very aggressively, like take whatever PPC budget you have and spend it on organic stuff that has like a high domain ranking, that's going to give you a lot of backlinks to your website and to Amazon. And so, hit up a bunch of articles and say, what is it going to take for us to talk about it, for you guys to talk about me? Like, can I give you products? Can I do whatever? But all of this is going to cost money. So it just depends like where you want to put your money. The thing with PPC, and I can totally see this, is like there's a ROAS attached to it. You can say, I spent $10, I made $25, two and a half, 2.5x ROAS, and that's it. Like I put in 10, I got 25. It's easy. You can calculate it when you talk to your CFO or whatever, or you talk to your financial person. You can validate it. You can say, yeah, we spent the $10,000, we made $25,000. But then, once you get bigger, like I've seen these companies, we get bigger, and I'm like, yeah, well, what if you invested 10 grand a month doing this thing? And they're like, but what's the return? And I'm like, well, you can't quantify the return because I can't tell you what a YouTube video is going to do for your brand, but I can tell you if you have 1,000 YouTube videos and then there's all these people like looking for you, and your products are going to rank organically, people are going to look for you, they're going to buy, and then you can say, okay, we spent $50,000 or let's say $60,000 getting these videos, and then what's our revenue looking like? What's our search volume looking like? What's the sessions to our listings? What are they looking like? And so on. And so, yeah, I mean, it can be done, but it's again, where are you going to put your money, and where can you feel like the return on investment is there? A lot of people, they want to see, I put in $1 for PPC, I got $2.50. No one wants to see, I spent 6 months or a year doing these things, and I don't know if there's going to be a return, or if there is, like it's not very easily quantifiable.
Makes
Like
sense.
billboards, I'm sure. Like if I
Well, it's
talk to,
marketing in general. Well, it's marketing in
yeah,
general, right? A lot of people never understood. Again, trackability has made a lot of people. I would say they would make a lot of people. The focus has gone on a couple different things, right? Like the passive nature of what a brand awareness is. Like
yeah,
you can't quantify it all the time. Like in a podcast, you can only look at downloads, but you don't know the actual value that like might drive their buyer intent, right? It could be like you have that conversation about ping pong payments. Now 10 people go and sign up for ping pong payments. They don't know why, but it's because Mina Elias said something on a podcast
And you'll
randomly.
never
There's
know.
no like connect, like
Yeah.
offset, but like on a billboard, and like you're talking about, like there's all these disconnects sometimes. Like you can't always quantify exactly the source of that pushes them over the edge. So that's why I'm kind of curious of, like, because money's attached to it and you can kind of see that quantifiable nature of,
Yeah.
if I put in 10,000, is it going to actually have that significant bump or growth? But is the metric always going to be 10,000 to is going to give me 100,000, or is it going to be 100? I put in 100,000, it's going to give me a million. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the ratios are still the same. Do you ever see that with businesses of, the more I just throw into PPC, it may not just give me incremental growth. It's just giving me revenue growth. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Like,
Yes. So this happened to me actually. So there's one product that I was doing like $70,000 a month in revenue, and the take home was, I think, like between 15 to 20,000 in profit. So after everything's, on the P&L, after all is said and done, the gross profit was about 15 to 20,000. And then I said, you know what, like, let me scale this down. And I scaled it down, and the revenue went down from like 70 to like 35, 40. And the take home was like, you know, uh, right around kind of like maybe a couple $1,000s lower on the P&Ls. And I said, so what was it worth it? Like that I kept kind of the velocity really high, but the profits were the same. And I had to, like, my cash flow cycle, like, I don't have a negative cash flow cycle. If it was negative, who cares, right? But it is slightly positive, which means by the time I put the money down to the time the money comes back to me from Amazon, there is a positive amount of days. And so the more I'm growing, the more cash I need to put in before I get that cash back. And with supplements, it's a little bit competitive, and sometimes, like, because of the rising cost per clicks, the dollar amount in profit goes down. But then I asked, so personally for me, I was like, I saw that the revenue was growing and the profit wasn't growing that much. And so I asked Tomer actually about it, and he said, well, he prefers that higher revenue number because it's still clients and brand awareness and market share, and all of these are potential reviews that can be converted. And I said, okay, you make a really good point. So you have to balance the two. There's really no right or wrong answer, but you could be nice and profitable without having to reorder so many times, or you could continue to grow that revenue and be, just slightly bit more profitable, have a higher velocity, and then at the same time you can get more market share, more reviews. So I don't know, market share matters if investors are looking at you. Profitability matters for when you're exiting or something like that. So it really depends on, like, where you are in the business, and like what can you do? Do you have access to capital? If you do have access to capital, continue to scale as much as possible, and then hopefully you get to a point where, through using that capital, you're able to hit 150, 200 in revenue, and you're able to maintain that money that comes in, because you used some capital. Now you got to a point where that money that's coming in can fund your next order, and so on and so forth. But I think that's also a perfect segue into, like, living off your online business, because this is something
finally getting to our topic, right?
yeah. I think that's so the thing is, like, no one really talks about this, and for me it bothered me a lot. Why? Because I thought that when I started my business, my supplements business, like, I was going to be able to live off of it. So as I realized, like, I made $10,000, I got whatever money back after Amazon paid me. I had to put it into more inventory when I hit 20 and 30, and it was just kept this, put more money into inventory, put more money into inventory, put more. Okay, so I got to a point, okay, maybe I'm not putting more money into inventory, but I needed to put money into my website. I need to put money into Facebook ads. I need to put money here. I need to pay this guy to do this thing. And so it eventually got to a point where it's like, and people will tell you profit first, okay? But let me finish. It's profit first is so easy to say, right? Just take profit first for yourself. But okay, but like, what kind of lifestyle you want? Like, you want a lifestyle where you can take 10% of your profits, and then what if your profits are 10,000? You're okay with living off 1,000 a month? Like, so profit first doesn't really solve the problem. Yeah, it's good, it's right, it's the right way to do business, because you're kind of incorporating profits into the equation early on. But the point is, like, I grew the business, and it was making significant amount of revenue, but I was not taking home anything. Like I was taking home, like initially I was taking home $4,000, and then I started taking home like $6,000 a month to pay for my bills. And at that point, like the high during the highs, it was nice. During the lows, it was bad. And the growth of my business really stalled. So hard work could have been a lot bigger, but like all of that money that I took to live off of, that could have been new products. That could have been, if I could have launched one new product every 2 months easily, right? Living off of 6,000 a month, that's 12 grand I could have put into a new product. And if only three of them like succeeded, the business would have been way bigger. But because of having to live off of that, I couldn't do it. So a lot of people go into this business. Now it's even more competitive. Amazon FBA is like way more competitive. So I went on this. So okay, another backstory. So this was happening, and I was living off of $6,000 in Los Angeles. And now $6,000 back then, 1,500 of them went to student loans. So I was actually living off of $4,500 a month. So I mean, $4,500 a month in Los Angeles is not much. Your rent is like, whatever. My rent was, I was living in a 10 by 10 bedroom. My rent was $1,100 a month, and then a little bit for the car payment, like $300 for the car payment, $100 for the phone, this, that. And then it's like, okay, cool. I'm able to live. I have my freedom and all this stuff. I could go live in like Egypt and like ball out. But if I wanted to live like a nice, like the entrepreneur dream, right? The travel everywhere, first class, like nice hotels, all this stuff, experiences, maybe a nice house and a nice car. Like you can't, it didn't make it to me. There was no path. So I started a second business. It was a women's supplement brand that I eventually sold, and I tried to do that. And again, it was like, okay, it was taking away from hard work. And so my time was, and again, it didn't make that much more money. I was like, I should have just launched another product here, and whatever profits came out of that product, I could have, instead of recreating an entire brand, I could have just launched a different product and then took the profits off of that one. So that didn't work. And then I tried like a few other things. Consulting is great, right? Because it pays by the hour, but then my time was tied to my money was tied to my time. So it wasn't scalable. And I would have literally had to, do 4 hours of consulting a day or whatever to get to a nice point. And then if I'm doing that, then I'm working 8 hours on my business. So now you're trapped. This is not financial freedom. This is, okay, it's just a really high paying job. You can go on Wall Street, you can become a lawyer, whatever, you can become a doctor. Doctors, my friend is a surgeon. He gets paid really well, but he's working like crazy hours, 12-hour shifts. And sometimes he's like, yeah, I just, it's 7:30 in the morning. He's like, yeah, I just finished my shift at the hospital. I'm like, dude, this is not a life that I want to live, right? Like where your time is very tied to how much money you're making. So then I'm like, okay, dude, what is going on? Like I see some people that are very successful living off of their business, and then I see other people that are, not. And then I see myself, and I'm like, if these people can live off of their business, like what gives? And so, I'm gonna discuss the things that I found. Right? So I've asked a lot of people who, I think people right now, if they're not really like, if they don't have a high income, they probably won't answer the question. But I asked a lot of people, say, how much money are you able to take home like right now and spend? Like how much do you spend a month? And so the people who aren't making that much won't answer. People who are making like, people who are spending like 20 grand a month, or whatever, those are the people that kind of answered it pretty comfortably. And I'm like, I want you to go back in time. And so the first example was, there was this guy. He has a 10 or 15 million a year supplement brand right now. He's living off of $250,000 a year. So he owns a $15 million company, living off 250 grand a year. And he told me he started his first brand, and he kind of like lived off of like nothing, 30 grand, like, one of those stories like mom's basement type of shit. He lived off of 30 grand, little bit of money, whatever. And then he put in like hours and hours and hours and hours and killed himself, and then grew that company enough to sell it. And then once he sold it for a few million, he had like, he could live off of 100 grand for like the next 4 years. And then he built his next business to like 5 million or whatever, sold that. And then that's how his income scaled. But mind you, right now his income is at still 250 grand a year. And this is after he built like that kind of company. And then I start talking to some other people too. So I have another friend who has a $12 million, or no, like it has to be over 13 million, because he's in this thing called YPO where you make over 13 million. But he's living off of 400 grand. And I'm like, okay, so let's go back. Like, how did you do it? He's like, oh, well, I have like this service company that I'm like 40% and my partner 60%, and he does all the work and he gets a full-time salary, and that pays for everything. So he was able to use that money from a previous service-based business, and then he was living off that. He had his business. He took money from there, put it into his business, grew it, and then he grew that. Once he grew his business to over 10 million, now he's saying 400,000. So I'm like, okay, there we go. It's like now the picture is becoming clear. So I asked, like, I kept asking people these questions. I said, how are you living off your business? And honestly, like, there's only two scenarios that I found are pretty common. The first scenario is the first guy. You live off 30 grand until you make it big. And then, whatever, go to either live abroad or go live with your parents, minimize expenses, invest every single dollar into the business, take out like whatever SBA loans or anything that's a low interest, just grow the business as fast as possible until it can pay you a fair salary. And then the real money is when you exit. Because if he does exit his 15 million brand, let's say he exits for like 20 million, he has a partner, so he would make 10 million. So once you have 10 million, okay, maybe you can spend 300 grand a year. I think 300 400 grand is still like a lot of money. So but anyways, like, he can spend that money while investing his other money into something that will make him a lot of money. And I think Adam who sold to Perch for 100 million, he said something like, if you put 10 million into something right now, like something like safe or whatever, it'll give you at least like 100,000 a year of salary. So you can do nothing. You just put your money somewhere and it gives you 100 grand a year. So there's like something like that, right? Where you make the big exit and then something pays. And then the other situation that I found is it's like a service where it's something monetizable. And it's like a scalable service. So you learn a skill, you start selling that skill, and then you start hiring people. They offload portions of that service that you're offering. You're making the same amount of money, but you're offloading the work to someone. You build a team. Now they're as good as you continue to scale it, and now you're at a point where you have an asset, just like your product-based business. It's much harder to scale a service-based business. However, if your service-based business is making you $500,000 a year in revenue, there's a high chance that it's 70% profit. And that 70% profit, you could probably take half of it comfortably, no problem, because you don't need to reinvest that much, because every time you reinvest, you hire an employee that can add revenue to your business. So it's not like you're reinvesting into a product that's going to take 6 months to a year to kind of like break even and start becoming really profitable to a point where you can pull money. With an employee you hire with a service-based business. So that's kind of what I've found. Like, I'm sure there's other ways, but for people that are like getting into this business, if you feel like me, right? Like, I have this product-based business, I'm growing it. When am I going to be able to live off of it? That's kind of what I found, right? You're gonna have to either hunker down, get it to really big, and then when you pull out 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, it's not impacting your bottom line. You're able to leverage like loans and whatever, because your revenue is so high, and you can continue to grow without worrying about like, oh, I'm taking 100 200,000 to live off of, or some sort of like service side that can then fund your life. Because the really, like, what I've seen is the product-based business is amazing because of the exit, because you can grow it. And think about it, let's say you make one product, and Liquid IV, I think they hit 100 million. They're an electrolyte company. They hit 100 million with I think one SKU. So they had an electrolyte powder, like 16 packets or whatever.
I'm a
And
fan. I have them in my closet
yeah,
or my pantry right now.
yeah, I'm a fan of the business. I'm a big fan of the guy. Like, he's incredible what he's been able to accomplish, and he's a hustler as well. Like, I've heard his stories on his podcast. But with one product, it's just like, okay, we're selling in this Whole Foods, now we're selling in 10, now we're selling in 100, now we're selling in 1,000. Now we move to this retail. Now we move online, and it's literally with one product. It's just selling more and more and more. So you're able to really scale the revenue significantly to a point where you're doing like this $100 million, or yeah, I think he exited for $300 million. So a $300 million exit when the business is doing 100 million in revenue, versus with a service-based business, usually, like, it's very rare. Like, you can count it on like your hands, like how many companies are exiting for like that 50 million like number, stuff like that. Like, you have
Right.
like Buy Box Experts is like an example, like where they're like really massive. Like, that's a really big exit. But there's so many more like
Well, the
CP.
components are people. There's a lot more components
Yeah,
to it. It's a high floor, low ceiling play. But
yes.
again, it's like almost like that half step in your portfolio of
But
uh,
here's the thing,
yeah,
right? It's like, you're right. It's a high floor, low ceiling. However, every year of you running that business, you're living a pretty nice life, because
right.
I can guarantee you, like, you can go from zero to 10 or $15,000 a month in your pocket. It's not that hard. Like, it takes maybe six good clients, six, like, clients paying you 3 grand a month, if you're really good at what you do. And it's not hard to get really good at what you do, because you can follow this like simple formula. Number one, study the hell out of it. Number two, go work for the best in the game. Or if you can't, then go work for the second best or the third best. Then go work for the best. Yeah, you're still gonna get paid nice. You're not gonna be stressed out. You're still gonna be able to take on clients outside of your work, right? You can take one or two like freelancing jobs, and then you can eventually jump into that. So I know not a lot of people talk about this. Everyone likes to talk about the revenue, and no one's real enough to talk about the struggle. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough, and this is kind of what I found. And Trivium, part of it was, yeah, like, I was incredible at doing PPC stuff. Like, I love it. I love like the whole conferences and going on podcasts and meeting people like you, and the dinners and all of this cool stuff. Like, I love that aspect of the service-based business. I'm a people person. I'm also a numbers person, and so I didn't mind working on my product. But hey, the fact that whatever I was bringing in, like, you could keep most of it. I was like, this sounds like a much better idea. Not a much better idea, but this sounds like a much more reasonable way of like living, where you can build something that you can live off of while you're building it. And then I can be like very non-emotional about my brands and continue to grow them. And whatever money comes in, like whatever that gross profit is, I know that's my valuation. And then everything under that, I can like spend on people and contractors and better branding, better products, better this, better that, and not be like, oh damn, like I need to pull an extra 1,000 a month so I can live off of rent, and then live like live like below my means for so long. Because again, that health thing, right? Because if I had been hunkering down and doing all this hard work, and then got hit with something like that, and then never recovered from it, then it's just you spend your life doing what, right? Your memories are what, like, not that fun. So that's my spiel
Right.
on living off your
Well,
business.
it's not a grim nature, but it's also a realistic nature. I think the education, and I'm appreciative of you coming on and talking about that topic, because anyone can come on and talk about the glories of the
Yeah,
goods and the bads, but the realistic nature is at the end of the day, people still want to be profitable, walk away from their jobs that they hated.
yeah,
Again, that you paint the dream of, I want to be my own entrepreneur, I want to be my own boss, but then also I also want to have financial freedom. And again, it is hard work. That's not without question, but it's also, you want to have a better life for yourself and be able to pay yourself out. You don't want to have your money tied up in inventory and marketing and stuff like that.
But I
And
don't
at
want
the
to be
end of
like
the day,
45 when I'm living off of like a half a million a year, you
right?
know? Like I want to do it in the next like couple years. And like, that's why I did this. Like, that's why I'm into
This is
this.
one
Like,
of the yeah,
yeah.
it's one of the quickest scalable business models that now is being proven by exits and by helping people understand of you have a product or service or something that has value, and everyone who is exiting these days is better because of it. Is like you said, the biggest payday you'll ever receive in your life, and reinvest that into something else. If you're truly an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, reinvest that into another passion product, or build another brand and scale that
Or else
one
it's gonna
to,
run
like you
out.
said, like what you're doing. You're saying, I'm gonna throw, what was the number you said? 50,000, 200. You said something
200,000.
crazy.
Yeah.
$200,000 into a brand. Like, crush it, and then like build on that, because now you have equity into
Yeah.
being able to
But
do something like that.
do it while I'm enjoying my life, not while I'm like, kind of like getting gray hairs and like feeling stressed. Like I can't just go travel and do something like I can't go to the Maldives for a week because like I'm just waiting till I build my next thing and then I exit and then the next thing. It's like living in that future. If you ever read The Power Now, right? Like he talks about like how the future is like kind of made up and only the now is what exists. So I really always try and be like conscious of, don't ever think that in the future is when your happiness is going to be, or in the future when you get that payday is like when I'm going to be able to like live my life. It's like I either can live it now or like I'm losing. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have we have to bounce because I already taken more than an hour of your time.
Or
But for people for people who are curious, they want to connect with you or follow you. I know we've done it before. I already linked out in the descriptions below of where they can find you. But what's kind of like that quick, 30 seconds you're looking forward to 2022, and how can they connect with you?
Dude, okay, so first of all, connect with me on Instagram, please, at Egyptian_prescription_Elias. I want to take those 30 seconds. My mentor told me to share this. If you guys are in any community, if you're an entrepreneur like me or like Ryan, and you're in any community, I urge you to go and like look at like maybe people in high school and college and try and give back a little bit. So I've been doing these I call it pizza and business dinners, where I invite, whatever, 10 or 12 people in high school and in college, and buy them pizza and then talk to them about all of the mistakes that I made and how they can avoid it and how they can have a lot more success. I think like it's a very rewarding when you're giving back, and it's definitely it's something, it's good, it's something everyone should be doing. I was doing it, I didn't tell anyone, and then my mentor said, you should share this, you have a platform, you should encourage more people to do it. So let's see if we can make a bigger impact, and we can all the mistakes that I did when I was in college and all this stuff in high school, if you can help these people avoid it, that would be great. So that's my 30 seconds. Go give back.
No, it's awesome. I like that. It's something where I wish I
It's
could
easy, man.
retroactively and
Pizza.
give advice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pizza
and
and
pizza.
advice. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah,
Oh,
that's good advice. But hey, thanks so much. I know you're busy. We were talking pre-show of all the events you're going to be at, so I can't wait to meet up in person and connect. And good luck
amazing.
with the rest of the year. I know it's a busy time of year for you and the team, so we'll be talking, I'm sure, shortly. So thanks so much for hopping on today.
You're the man. Thank you for having me, Ryan.
No problem. Thanks, Mina. And again, thank you everyone else who is hopping on Crossover Commerce. Again, this is episode 199. We're gonna do a really cool holiday edition. I'm just so thankful for people like Mina who are able to come on and share their thoughts and wisdom again, and just the educational space that we have in this platform. So 200 is going to be on the 20th. Again, just want to give a quick shout out. Lots of cool guests, past friends of the show. Again, as always, I tell people, always friends of the show. They can come back anytime and chat with me. We have an open ear policy here. We're here to listen. We're here to actively just be thankful and think through everything that is said on this podcast. So super thankful for that. That being said, this is 199 of Crossover Commerce. Thank you, Mina, of the Trivium Group. Go and check him out, and you can follow him on Instagram at Mina_Elias. The Egyptian prescription. We have linked that out on all of our platforms. So go ahead and check that out. Again, thank you so much, Mina. And thank you, listener, who is hopping on Crossover Commerce. We'll catch you guys next time on 200th episode, season finale of Crossover Commerce. Take care.